Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Tea, You and Me. Today, we are going to have a great show. There is so much that I want to share with you all, so much that's going on, and so many opportunities that we have in order to grow and move our businesses forward. And I'm hoping that you'll have a great time. I know I'm planning to have a great time. There's a lot that we want to go through today and a lot that we want to talk about. Just a little bit of homework before we get started. For those of you all who are logging in or coming in for the first time to the show, this show is being broadcast on 3 different platforms simultaneously. We're broadcasting on LinkedIn, we're broadcasting on Facebook, and we're broadcasting on YouTube all at the same time. So now what that means for you is that you can enjoy this pretty much anywhere you like to enjoy it, which is great. You can check it out live. You can participate in the chat. You can do all kinds of things. Save it, like it, share it. Do all the wonderful things that are required for us to boost our social settings so that we can get more and more people excited about what we're doing. I like to think of what we're doing here at the Small Business Commission, at the round table, and all of the things that I participate in, including my Phi Beta Sigma chapter, where I'm the Bigger and Better Business community chairperson. It's important for us to empower small businesses. Anything and everything we can do to make sure that small businesses get a fair shake in the economic, political, and social environment is what I am all about, is what we do here at Coffee Tea, You and Me, which is the program that you're watching today. I birthed this program out of many years of serving the small business community live at coffee shops all over Northern Virginia, and we used to sit down every Friday at a coffee shop, and I would just invite entrepreneurs and business leaders to come around and chat with me and talk with me about the things that they're doing, things that they're creating, sharing their ideas and information. I want to keep that going. So for those of you all who have a business or you know a business, put that business in the chat. Do me a favor and hit them up. Make sure you put their information so that we can participate and engage with them. If there's a website you want us to pay attention to, if there's some contact information you want to share, a new event coming up that you got going on, put it all in the chat. We want to try to develop one of the most engaged communities in that whole internet and the whole internet. We want to break this thing if we possibly can. And so I want to make sure that everybody who gets a chance to participate can, everybody who wants to can. Please share all your information. I see my girl Annette Smith is in the house. Good to see you, Annette. Thank you so very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate you. There's so many wonderful people who follow what we do and are I would say meaningfully impacted. At least that's the goal, right? Try to make sure that we have meaningful impact on the things that we share with people. For those of you who've been following, in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about, how do you get to a level of high performance? How do you get yourself to a level of high performance? How do you get your team to a level of high performance? Hey, why should you want to even be there? And we started talking about the doorway to high performance, which is mindfulness. And once you're aware of everything you can do with a wonderful mindfulness practice, you become, it becomes well known to you that there are things that are happening to you, things that happen going on all around you that you could be grateful for. And that gratitude is what leads you right to satisfaction. And it just turns out that no one can really be a high performer if they're not truly satisfied in who they are, where they're coming from, what they're doing, why they're doing it, because that performance won't be able to last. That level of achievement, that level of procedure, whatever it is they're doing, it's not going to work well if they don't have that internal bliss, that internal joy, that satisfaction of knowing. And so the last couple of weeks, we've been talking just about satisfaction. And we started off talking about, why satisfaction is important, right? Why is it important for you to become a person who is happy in order for you to perform the way you want to perform in your life, in your business, in everything that you're doing, right? We talked about that, and we broke down that satisfaction into 3 separate categories, and we understood that faith, choice, and acceptance are 3 fundamental categories of life, 3 fundamental categories of being, ways of being that you have to really, really wrestle with, deal with, and master in order to achieve full satisfaction in whatever you're doing. That means whatever role you're playing, that means whatever thing you're into, whatever process you're trying to learn, whatever you're trying to do and grow in, and you want to do that in a way that's satisfying, you're going to have to embrace those 3 concepts: faith, choice, and acceptance. So faith taps you into something that's otherworldly, something that's bigger than yourself. It taps you into the divinity. It taps you into God. It taps you into the spiritual forces and the nature and the things that affect us that sometimes we're not consciously aware of, but they're there anyway, and they matter a great deal to how we achieve happiness and satisfaction. So understanding what faith does and what faith is, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Last week, we talked about choice. Why choice and your ability and understanding your ability to embrace choice and use choice to help you grow and use choice as a function of your personal success and how it affects your happiness. We talked about that last week. This week, we're getting into acceptance. This week, we're going to talk all about acceptance, what acceptance is, how it works, what you need to do to practice more of it, what you need to, how does it help you do the things that you want to do, how does it help you participate and engage in higher, more deeper ways in your life and in your business. And I think you're going to love some of the things that we came up with and some of the things we're going to share. We're gonna break this down in every way possible. We're going to answer the deepest questions. We're going to go to the Bible. We're going to come up with share some amazing quotes with you. It's some exercises that you can do to truly practice acceptance. So hang in there with us because it's going to be a bumpy ride for some, but it'll be a smooth ride for others, and everybody will enjoy it when it's all said and done. And so that's the goal, right? If you have any thoughts or ideas that you want to throw in the chat and you want to create some conversation around, definitely put it together and let us know. One of the things that is key, when you think about acceptance, is really how do you define it and what it means to you. But we're going to get into all of that when we come back from the break. And I want to share with you a quick video. This video was put together by a good friend of mine, and he does all kinds of little nice video images and gadgets like this. So if anybody wants to participate. I really love having that. And by the way, if anybody wants to contact me or find out more about what I do and how I do it, feel free to give me a shout. My information will be scrolling past the screen. We don't have any special guests this week, so you get to play with me. And we get to go deep into a couple topics and without any disruption or disturbance. So it's just me and you and anybody who's paying attention. And if you're listening to this program for the first time and you're listening to it from any kind of, maybe watching a replay, don't worry about that. The chat is still going to be active. You still can participate in the chat. You can still ask questions. You can still engage, and we really, really love to have as much engagement as possible. So don't feel like, if the show is over and you're watching this late at night or something like that, that you can't participate. Feel free, still engage, still put your information in the chat, still let us know how we can get in contact with you. If you have a question about anything, put it in the chat, because sometimes audience members can respond to your question even better than I can. And sometimes that's a great opportunity. I believe that everybody coming to the room, giving their best efforts, can make magic happen. And that's what we need to have happen for you guys. Again, on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, like us, share us, subscribe to us. Let's embrace this thing and let's keep the party going. Today, we are talking about acceptance. What do you need to know about acceptance, or why acceptance is important to you? When you think about it, and I want you all, while you're here, if you can, just engage with me for a second. Write down in the chat, what would happen if you could accept your greatness? If you could fully embrace and fully accept your greatness, what could happen for you? Try to be specific. I'll give you a perfect example. If I can accept and embrace my greatness as a business coach, as a trainer, as a consultant, then I'm going to be known the world over for rescuing and helping and identifying more than the thousands of small businesses I've already impacted. This might get into the millions. This might be something that grows so big that all small businesses begin to redefine themselves and use the tools and techniques and strategies that I've suggested all over the world. And it becomes a staple, the standard for how small businesses are done. Would that be great? What would happen if you were to accept your greatness? What would happen for you? How would it work for you? Go ahead and throw that in the chat if you want to. If you want to engage, you want to participate, you'll be surprised at how much your thoughts about this might empower others. So go ahead. Feel free to write it down. The information that I prepared for today's talk, today's discussion, is really coming from all the studies I've recently done on mindfulness and what mindfulness can do for you, what can do for your business. And I discovered along the way, and I'm still discovering more and more and more every day, that acceptance is a very strong component of what it takes for us to be happy and what it takes for us to be satisfied in our lives. And there are some serious questions that, if you're going to practice this art or science of acceptance, that you should probably ask for yourself. Questions like, how do you know what to accept, and how do you do it without setting the apple cart in your business? A lot of us have problems with this because we try to accept everything, and we can't really just accept everything. We have to try to probably be discerning about the things that we want to accept into our universe and embrace. We want to be careful with that, right? Another question might be, what do you do to re-energize yourself and your team to create new possibilities? And how can acceptance help you do that? Another question might be, when the complexities of your daily routine become overwhelming, what systems do you have in place to get you back into alignment? Acceptance can be a very, very big key here for that. Another question you might ask yourself is, how does your practice of acceptance stack up against that of others? Is all acceptance the same, or do some of us do it better than others? Very, very important concept to think about and to embrace and understand. The last question I want you to think about, and this is one of my favorites. When it comes to acceptance, do you know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run? I love that song from Kenny Rogers because it says so much about what acceptance is and how you can use it. Speaking of great quotes, Brene Brown says, the thing that we are wired to be a part of is that life is something bigger. And it's so deeply ingrained in us that sometimes we will take fitting in as a substitute. But actually, fitting in is the greatest barrier to belonging, because fitting in says, be like me, or be like them to be accepted. Belonging says, however, this is who I am. I hope we can make a connection. I love Brene Brown. If you ever have a chance to participate in any of her training or any of her workshops or read any of her books, I promise you're going to be vastly blessed. But it's important that we begin to wrap our mind around this acceptance and what it means. And in the world of psychology, one of the agreed upon definitions of acceptance works a little bit like this: taking a stance of a non-judgmental awareness and actively embracing the experience of thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations as they occur. Taking a stance of non-judgmental awareness, and actively embracing the experience of thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations as they occur. Now, acceptance here is not, we're going to walk away. We're going to pretend like something doesn't exist. We're going to hide from it. It means accepting it, taking a stance, being aware, but not in a judgmental way. I like to think of it as what I do for me in terms of how I see things when it comes up to in my universe, in my world. All day, every day, I'm like a fisherman, right? I'm gathering data. I'm gathering information and sensory input. I'm using my emotions, my feelings, my mindset. I'm using everything to gather all the information that I can up into my net. My net is where I'm going for the catch, right? But I'm intentionally trying to catch a certain kind of fish, right? I intentionally want to accept certain things in my universe and in my world that's going to make things work better for me, that's going to help me accomplish the things I want to accomplish. Now, The net is set up so that certain things that I don't need to accept automatically don't even get into the net. So there's a lot of stuff that don't come into the net because I'm a good fisherman. I got the right tools, right? I got the right kinds of systems and set strategies all set up so that I have my acceptance policies. I have my information that I'm already projecting out there in the universe that's gathering the people to me, the ideas to me, the concepts to me that I need to get, right? That's my marketing strategy, right? All that is, I'm accepting it all in, but now I've got a whole bunch of stuff right in front of me, right? A whole bunch of people, ideas, thoughts, feelings, whatever. And my job now is to take the stuff out that doesn't work, that got into my net by mistake, right? Got into my net. I'm acknowledging it exists, but now it's here. Okay, I got to get rid of it. Take that and throw it away, because that doesn't need to have any more of my attention. It doesn't have to have any. I don't need to accept it. I don't need to. I understood it. I saw it. I acknowledged it, but then I got rid of it. I put it right back in the water. Let somebody else catch that. Later on, that's not gonna be for me. It's not gonna bother me. It's not gonna work for me. It's not something I'm going to use. So I use that analogy to help you understand that in your life, in your business, in your world, you're going to have to see, tolerate, experience a tremendous amount of data, information, feelings, all kinds of stuff that's going to happen to you and you're going to experience. But you don't have to use it all. All of it's not good for you. Right? So you're going to have to figure out a way to acknowledge the stuff that's bad and then get rid of that. Choose then, right? We talked about the power of choice last week. If you want to go back and watch that video, you probably should. It's a very important thing. When you do this well, you can establish a foundation for your discipline in your life of the things that you're going to embrace and accept and bring into yourself, and the things that you're going to cast away and get rid of, right? These is very, very, very important. A lot of us need to have systems that will allow us to do this, right? And I found that the systems that work best are things that work through inquiry, through understanding, through resolution, and then through action, right? So first thing, you're looking at your stuff that's in your net, you have to ask yourself, okay, what's in here that I need? What's in here that I want? What's in here that I want to keep? What's in here that I can use? Right? What's in here that's bad? What's in here that's not good? What's in here that feels wrong? What's in here that doesn't make sense to me? And then you can just choose, right? Now, if you understand everything that's in the net already, right? And that means you got to have a level of discernment and wisdom. If you understand what's already out there, you got all these choices to make, right? And then you have to be resolved. You have to be resolute. You have to be concerned about making the right choices, about doing the right things, about accepting the right things in your universe and in your world. Because if you accept the wrong things in your net, then you're accepting things that could poison the whole batch, that can mess it all up, that will require so much more of your attention. You can't pay attention to the fish you have. You can't leverage this and use it for the way it's supposed to be because you're so busy dealing with the stuff that you did not have a process to filter out in the first place, or to get rid of once you know you're sitting in the boat with you. So now you got to deal with it. You got to wrestle with it. It's creating other obstacles that you don't have to have. Right? So you have to. This is why acceptance is so important, because you have to know how to. It's not just you just accept everything that's going on. You have to know what to do with it after you've accepted it, right? So you have a level of understanding, a level of resolution, but then you have to take action. You have to be able to do something about it. Things that are negative in your world, in your space, in your boat, whatever it is you're trying to do, you got to know how to get rid of it. You got to know how to let it go. You got to know how to marginalize it, put it to the side. Don't pay attention to it. Don't allow it to become a part of who you are and what you do. Because if you do, now it becomes a deeper problem. For those of you who understand neuroplasticity or NLP or any type of the brain functioning and rewiring, right? It's important that you regularly practice practice getting rid of the negative thoughts, the negative feelings, and negative people. Everything that brings negativity in your life, you got to practice getting rid of it. And the better you get at getting rid of it, the faster and more efficient you become at letting that stuff go. Put it back in the water. Let it go. Don't accept it. Don't embrace it. Acknowledge it for sure, because that's a part of acceptance, right? But don't take it in. don't embrace it. Don't let it become a part of you, because once it becomes a part of you, now it's a part of your brain. It's a part of your scripting. It's a part of how you have to act and receive based on whatever that thing is. And that thing might be fear. It might be doubt. It might be despair. It might be anger. It might be frustration. All those things, all those feelings that don't have a place in moving you forward are there to protect you. But most of the time, they're protecting you from stuff that you don't need protection from. So why is it there? Now you got all this negativity that's embedded in your DNA, and you have to let it go. You have to get rid of it. You have to put it aside. I love this quote, and I don't know who wrote it, but if you know who wrote it, let me know. There's a decision that has to be made when you think about what goes on in your world, right? There's a decision that has to be made. Do you either change it, accept it, or leave it? There's really no other choices. Amongst the myriad of things that's going on in your world, all the choices and all the things you have to make decisions on, these are the decisions. I'm going to change that thing, I'm going to accept that thing, or I'm going to leave it, right? And when you get good at leaving it, when you get good at saying no, when you get good at not necessarily rejecting everything that's put in front of you, but putting it in its proper priority and putting it in its proper perspective and allowing it to exist on somebody else's boat. I like that process a lot better, because that's more important. Because sometimes when people are coming at you and they're trying to offer you things that don't work for you, that don't fit for you, and you don't necessarily want to add more rejection to the universe, right? You have to help them find a place where it might be adequate. Have to help them find a space in a person or an organization or a place where there's always something, right? There's a place and a space for everything in the universe. The question is, 9 times out of 10, people who are trying to offer something haven't necessarily done the work themselves to figure out what those places and spaces are, because they're offering it to you and you don't need it, or you don't want it, or you won't afford it. Either way, it's not a good thing. So you have to make sure that what you're offering can be accepted by the people that you're offering it to, because you already understand what they will accept based on your research, based on your inquiry, based on your organizational strategy, right? So you've got to think about that. There are 3 concepts I got to talk to you about when it comes to acceptance, or I want to have done my job today. First concept is this: understanding that you have the power to rebirth your joy, to reimagine it, to refine it, to refine it, to reestablish it, to capture it, to do what you need to do to embrace joy in every aspect of your life, in every choice and every decision that you make. You can do it. You can get better at it. You can keep working on it, right? Another thing you have to embrace, if you truly want to get to this acceptance piece and really get what the benefits of it when it's all said and done, is you must acknowledge that hurt actually happens. It happens all the time. Everything that we do, there's pain involved. Even in acceptance, there's pain involved. There's pain involved with discipline. There's pain involved with moving forward. There's pain involved with growth. There's pain involved with a lot of things that are actually good for us. And so you might want to understand and think about the fact that just because every time you run away from something that's uncomfortable, or a change that's different, or something that is being offered to you that you're not really understanding just yet, right? But you have anger or frustration as a result of it. Think about that. What's really going on here is hurt is going on. Hurt happens, right? And you have to know, you have to have a proper perspective and a proper place to put that in. And the next thing you need to understand is you need to be good at making the types of adjustments, but you can't do that if you don't actually pay attention to what you're accepting and what you're not accepting and how well you're doing at it. So you have to be able to give yourself what I call a wellness grade. You have to be able to, look at yourself and measure your level of acceptance versus others and start to ask yourself the question, how am I doing? Am I okay with this? Now, real quickly, before we move into those 3 categories, I want to share with you some of the basic rules that I got just from reading the Bible and reading the scripture. And I'm absolutely sure that these same thoughts and ideas are prevalent in almost every religious tradition. But the reason why I like to use it, read it from the Bible, because one, it's so widely popular and there's so many different versions of it out there, so many different interpretations of it. It's just fodder for philosophy, right? It makes you think about all kinds of different strategies and all kinds of different ways of dealing with things. But here's what the Bible says about acceptance in terms of the rules. Rule number one is, do not accept any form of evil or unrighteousness. So when you think about it, then he goes on to say, if you find that something is blatantly evil, then you just cannot accept it. I mean, you can't bring it into yourself. Acknowledge it, yes, but don't bring it into yourself. Let it go. Walk away from it. Put it to the side. Ignore it. Don't go in the house. Don't be in a space where a whole bunch of evil and bad wrongdoings are being done. Don't allow yourself to get used to that. Don't allow yourself to experience that and just live in it. Number two, receive and embrace people warmly and affectionately as if you were expecting them, as if they were a gift from heaven to you. Learn how to accept and receive people in the fullness of who they are, in the best traditions that you can bring up and think of from your culture, your past, or history, whatever, and from who you think they might be to you, if their light was allowed to shine, if they were allowed to bloom, if they had the opportunity. How would you embrace them? Of course you would. So think about that. Number three, at all times, be ready to teach and share whatever it is that you know, whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you can, for the benefit of others. Get yourself ready and prepared to do that. If you have something special in your life, or something gifted in your life, some talent, something that you can do better than most, and you're not doing it actively, practicing it every day, then I think you might be looking past your gift to try to accomplish something else. But when your gift is supposed to be there to help you accomplish the things that you need to accomplish based on the divine purpose that you have in your life. Number four, don't put people in boxes. Try not to judge. This is a difficult one for most of us, because how do you discern what's good and what's bad if you don't judge, right? But that's not really what that sentiment is all about. It's not about try not to judge. It's just try not to isolate people. It's try not to put them in boxes that make it impossible for them to express themselves and be a part of something. Don't isolate them. Don't shut them aside. Don't the opposite of inclusion is inclusion. I mean, the opposite of exclusion. Inclusion is exclusion. So don't exclude them. Try to embrace people. As long as they're not evil, try to embrace the diversity of people around you and understand how to find ways to accept them, not judge them, and discount them and put them out and cast them out. That's what that meant, right? Number five, understand that we are all, if we concentrate on our spiritual lives, we are all divine beings, right? And so we all are deserving of the protection of the divine, whatever that protection offers us, and we all deserve it. We all can participate in it. But that's where, again, back that faith comes in, right? Number six, you will learn more if you put more value in good things versus your selfish needs and desires. You will grow more, you will become more, you will be more if you put more value in serving others, in learning and developing your potential, in identifying your gifts and working on those, and working with the people who are going to be supportive and kind and nurturing to you. All those things will create more value to you. Other than that, and then you're just trying to satisfy your selfish needs and desires, and that's not necessarily going to get you to a place where you're going to feel protected and safe, right? There's a reason for all of us to be here. That's another thing the Bible says, right? And it's not our reasons, it's God's reasons. It's the universe's reason. It's the reason. It's the law of the universe, right? Our purpose is here. And I kind of look at it as it's my job or my thought to find my purpose, no matter what. Look for it, find it, define it, work within it, try to figure out what it is, what I'm doing with it, right? So it's very important. When you can do all this well, the next couple of lessons I'm going to share with you guys become easy to you. But let's get into it. Number one, first lesson, right? Hurt happens. You got to accept this as a truth. Hurt just happens, right? John Green says, you don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, but you do have some say in who hurts you. I like my choices. I like that last phrase he puts in there, right? I like my choices, because you do have a say in who gets to hurt you. You don't have to tolerate hurt from anybody. You get a choice. You get a choice. You get the choice to say, you know what? I'm not going to have them in my life anymore. I'm not going to expect them in my life anymore. I'm not going to enjoy them in my life anymore. I'm going to set up situations where they cannot hurt me. I'm going to create an environment where whatever they're doing or whoever they are is not something that can penetrate my zone of safety, because I understand what they're bringing and I got the right kind of defenses up against it, right? So it's not going to work, right? It's not going to damage me. And people ask me all the time, how do we stay in a toxic relationship in our business or in our lives and so on and so forth? And I said, put your barriers up. I'm not saying leave the person or separate from the business partnership or whatever you got going on, but put the barriers up that allow them to be them, but whatever's going on with them doesn't affect you in a negative way. If you cannot put the barriers up that allow you to continue to move forward, then you got to separate. It's just that's something that's telling you that this person, whatever they're bringing to the table, is not for you right now in the space that you are occupying right now. It's not working. They might be evil. There's one thing when people do things and they do it accidentally, when they say things that are off color or off putting. But there's another thing if they intentionally and on purpose try to do and say things that agitate you consistently and regularly because they love doing it. They just enjoy it. That's kind of evil to me. And I think that you might want to again use your wisdom and discernment to discover, is this person with me? Can they be with me? Can I deal with this long term? Do I have the right materials or tools or strength in me to do this? If you get a chance to read this training that I had, there's a ton of exercises that I want you to try. But here's one of them. Identify the toxic people that have crept into your life and put up appropriate guardrails that protect your emotional well-being from them, and then but also lift them simultaneously. And how do we do that? One of the things you can do, and people forget about this, we can always be the example we want to see, we want others to see, we want others to be. Be the person that we want other people to be. If you're finding that somebody's saying things to you that are negative, that are toxic, that are difficult, then be the person that never says those kind of things. Demonstratively, just reach out and tell the world, I'm going to participate in good behavior, good language, good speech. I'm never going to say negative things. If you catch me saying something negative, then you can fine me $100. Whatever it is you got to do, right? But show yourself as disciplining yourself in the same model that you would want somebody to change, especially somebody who's close to you. And guess what? They're going to see you doing that. They're going to see you growing in that direction. And they're going to say, okay, wow, they don't want to play this game the way I used to play this game anymore. This is not, and obviously, in order for me to have an effect on them, I'm going to have to do something different. And I might need to know what that is. And so they're going to pay more attention to you, and they're going to learn from you. Quite frankly, this works at every age, by the way. It doesn't matter if you're a child and a parent, or if you are a protege and a mentor. All you have to do is model the behavior that you want to see in others. And that's, I know it's easier said than done, but it's about creating habits, which is a whole different conversation, which we'll get into probably some point in time in the next couple of weeks. But it's important to know that you have the power to do it. I love this next topic, which is rebirthing joy. When you think about what it means to bring back your mojo, right? To get yourself back in action, to really bring that happiness back into alignment, and really begin to just find that way back to love, back to kindness, back to the kind of exuberation or exhilarance that you might have had when you were a child about the thing that you get to do every day. You get to do it every day. Think about that. You have the ability to bring that that joy back. And we're going to talk to you just a little bit about that right now. Here's a couple quotes. Holly Black, who the writer of The Tithe, says, if curiosity killed the cat, it was satisfaction that brought it back. You know, satisfaction has a way of waking up the parts in our lives, in our soul, in our spirit that were dead. Places that, you know, we might have thought we couldn't even go again. There's people who have put down the whole notion of love. People who have put down the whole notion of kindness, have put down the whole notion that they can experience the joy of acceptance and the warm embrace of somebody else or another family or something like that. They've just totally discounted that, saying it'll never happen for me. And I'm here to tell you that it's always possible for those things to happen to you. And the reason why you put it down is because you've had so much pain and so much suffering and so much anguish and so much frustration. I get it. We all have those. I told you earlier, hurt happens, right? But it's learning how to deal with that, to accept it, to acknowledge it, and then cast it out of your boat and work on the stuff that's still in your boat that you love, that could feed masses and can help you achieve great things, right? There's always something in your boat. And if you keep, I love this analogy too. If you keep casting your net and you keep pulling up junk, you're fishing in the wrong spot. Go where the fish are. Look at where the fishermen are going that's capturing the big haul. Look at where the ones that are going that their nets are full all the time. Go where they go. Start casting your net in those waters. Think about that as an analogy for your business. People are, well, my business is not growing. I'm not doing the things I want to be doing. Da, da, da. Are you fishing in the right places? Are you talking to the right people? Are you embracing the right people in your life and in your business? You know, it's very, very, very important stuff. So yes, you can rebirth joy. Here's how it happens. When you think about it, what satisfaction actually does is it repositions us. Oh, I gotta read one more quote before we go here. Epicurus says, he who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. A lot of us are so focused on the big whale. You know, we get that same disease who's that writer? Moby Dick. I can't remember. Captain Ahab had, right? Because we can't stop. We can't let it go. We can't appreciate what's already on our plate because we're trying to go catch this big whale. Think about it. What are you missing out on right now because you're so busy focusing on what you don't have? Maybe we should focus a little bit more on what you do have. What's in the net right now that you can appreciate, right? Satisfaction does a couple things for us. It repositions us and reopens us to new possibilities while reminding us that life is wonderful and has its sweet rewards. If you can accept that you have the responsibility to reframe, to re-examine everything that happens to you, and then share that goodness back to the universe, there's something that happens always, and it will never let you down. You will start to experience a happiness and a joy first within yourself, in that you have contributed something back to the universe in a powerful, positive way. You know you did that. You're the first person who knows you did that. Whether or not other persons, other organizations, other people appreciate it, that's not even what it is. What it is that you know it was right. You know it was good. You know it was relevant. You know it was meaningful. And you don't have to wait for somebody to appreciate it and pat you in the back and tell you, good boy, Adam. That's all great. And we all want that. We all want acceptance. But the first level of acceptance is you have to accept your gift. You have to accept your talent. You have to accept that you harvested whatever you harvested and you're sharing it with the world. If you can do that, then you can find that you're doing meaningful, significant, relevant things all the time, every day. Whatever you do, however you do it, it's all coming back and it's all good, right? We have to learn to enjoy the people and the situations that we take for granted every day. There's so many things that are going on that's really good, but we're a lot of times busy, stuck in some thought. We're either stuck in the past, or what didn't happen, or what we wish it should have happened, or what could have happened by now if we had done blah, 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 past decisions, or we're stuck in the future. And we're not here in this moment, right now, today, experiencing, expressing, and loving the thing that's going on right now. If those of you are in the chat and you with me with this one, I need to get an amen on that one, because I think that's a good one. You know, think about it. What should you be loving right now? Shouldn't you be loving you first, right now? And then you get a chance to see what's going on next. Now, of course, there's a dark side to this thing, right? There's a dark side to everything in our nature, but we can't ignore it. What we can do, though, is reframe it. We can readjust our lens in terms of how we see what we see, and we can find the positive, we can find the goodness, we can find the meaning in almost everything if we try, if we don't give up too soon. Now, obviously, you're going to come to places where you realize this is ugly, this is dark, this is demonic, this is wrong. And then that's something that you know what to do with it now. Get it out of there. Cast it out the boat. Don't keep it. I love this process. I thought about this when I read this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. Happiness is not a goal. It's a byproduct of a life well lived. How do you know that you are living life well? And that's why I put that whole thought process in. Give yourself a wellness grade, because your wellness grade does matter. And if you think about it, it's just like every other grade that you may have gotten, with the exception of one. There's an addition I want you to put in there. There's about maybe 6 grades I want you to think about and what they look like when you have to grade yourself on your level of wellness. The first grade is perfection. Let's just dispel this right now. Perfection is impossible in human scale. So if you're trying to give yourself a perfect grade, good for you, because that's a good destination approach, but you will never get there. You will never be perfect. But I love shooting for perfection, because perfection gives you something always to aim for, so that you never get satisfied with anything that's less than perfect, and that keeps you moving forward. And so there's a delight in that, but there's also a lot of pressure in that. So be careful that you don't embrace the wrong kinds of pressure in your pursuit of perfection. The next grade I want you to think about is excellence. I love excellence. Excellence is my favorite grade, right? Because excellence means this thing is achievable. First of all, excellence is achievable by almost everybody, right? But it requires exceptional talent, timing, and focus. If you get that right, if you get the timing right, if you get the talent right, if you get the focus right, then you're going to achieve excellence. You're going to perform with excellence. You're going to produce with excellence. Excellence is going to be something that you can give yourself a grade on. So if you think about it when it comes to your level of acceptance, right? Does your level of acceptance, is it coming at the right time? Are you using all the tools that you have at your disposal to do it, right? Are you engaged in really the process of selecting what you can and cannot accept into your universe? You're taking it all in. You're paying attention to things you got to pay attention to. You're ignoring the things that you've chosen to ignore. About the power of choice, right? As much as you can consciously, you are aware of what's happening, right? So you can give yourself an excellent grade. But excellence is not always required. Sometimes you got to say this is good enough. Good is a good grade, right? That's a B on most grading skills, right? So what is good really about? It's just doing what's required. It's just following the rules. If you follow the rules with precision and focus and discipline, right? Guess what? You're going to do all right. But that means you got to understand the rules first. If you don't understand the rules, you're not going to get to good. If you can't follow, you can't execute the rules, the standards, the procedure that's already there, you're not going to do good. You're going to be poor at best, right? But I like a good grade. Average is something that's there for everybody. You just got to do the minimum. If you do the minimum, guess what? You're going to be average. That's it. That's what minimum is going to get you right in the middle of the road. Neither good, no bad. Just right there in the middle. It's average. That's not a problem. Think about it when it comes to your level of acceptance, right? Or your ability to accept the right things. If you're average, that's just a C. right? What's going to happen to you if you're average in your level of acceptance and your ability to accept? Just average. Then you're going to get what everybody else get. Everything around you, all the frustrations that everybody had, you still going to have them. All the things that didn't want the average everyday Joe, that's going to be you. You'll be average, right? But now, there's some problems with this grading system because there's some other grades we can get, right? There's below average and then there's poor or failing. I know we don't have to talk a lot about that because I know a lot of people have experienced those in small matters or even in large matters. But even a failing grade when it comes to acceptance, right, is temporary. Most of the time, a failing grade when it comes to acceptance kind of makes you aware of something that you needed to deal with that you didn't do. That's what people are like, I want to know how to deal with acceptance. You're not supposed to accept the bad stuff and just embrace that stuff. You're supposed to acknowledge it and then deal with it, but don't just bring it in. That's not how acceptance works, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at it, you're examining it, you're inquiring about it, you're doing everything you can to do all the analysis, the SWOT analysis, the strength, the weakness, opportunities, threats, all the things that make it work. And you want to be able to happily deal with it in a good way. You need to be able, when it comes to understanding what your wellness grades are all about, you need to do a thorough examination of your deepest desires, your needs and your expectations, and don't let anything go to chance. I like to look at it like finding my purpose in the thing that's being presented in front of me. If I can't see my purpose in it, if I can't see myself growing through it or bring it along with me as I grow or sharing it with somebody else so they can grow, then it's got to go. It doesn't fit in my world. It's not helping me. It's not helping me be better emotionally, spiritually, physically, in my relationships, in my heart and mind. Nothing. It's not feeding any of that. That's making me better, stronger, faster, and more efficient or effective at what it is I need to do. So it's got to go. Because there's no room for folly. There's no room for, just moving along, tail along. That's average. I'm not interested in average. I'm interested in exceptional. I'm aiming for perfection, right? Excellence and exceptional, same thing, right? I'm interested in those, the big E's, but I'm aiming for perfection. And I hope that you are too. Because that means you're not going to be satisfied. You're not just going to be accepting anything and everything. You're going to be accepting the things that you should accept because you have to, because there's principles around it, there's rules around it, there's something that that's undeniable about it. You have to accept it, right? But other than that, you don't got to accept everything else. Just let it go. It's not important. It's not relevant. It doesn't work in your space. Now, there's a whole bunch of spiritual rules around acceptance that I'm not going to get into today. But if you ever get a chance and you want to read some of the practices and some of the things that I'm doing, definitely hit me up. Definitely share. Let me know you want it, and I'll get it to you. I'm going to do a few shout outs, and I'm going to close this out with some exercises that you can do to practice acceptance. Oh man, good. Look at some of my people out there. I see Nancy's out in the audience again. Nancy, good to see you, sweetie. Always great to see you. Don't forget to put your information in the chat so people can get in contact with you. Nancy's just an amazing talent in so many different areas. You know how they say people are a jack of all trades, masters of none. Nancy's a master of pretty much everything she does. And so if you want to meet somebody amazing, that can help you with copywriting or help you just clear your mind and think better, you want to talk to Nancy. She's that kind of person. And Brian is brilliant in the space of title research and doing everything. And he's one of my favorite title attorneys, a great friend of mine. Thank you very much for tuning in, Brian. Look forward to seeing you. Definitely, Brian, put your contact information in the chat if you haven't already, so that people can find you and reach out to you. If you need a good title insurance professional, if you're a real estate professional out there, you're working with title people, you're not working with the best if you're not working with Brian. So definitely go ahead and look him up and do that, because it's critically important that we do everything we can to support each other, and I support everybody who supports me. And so it's great to see you guys. Thank you for engaging and getting involved. Let's talk about some of the key things that you can do to practice acceptance. And I want you all, when you listen to these things, if something hits you that this is a good one, I want you to say, just say, give me a thumbs up in the chat or say yay or something like that to let me know that you're feeling this one, because I'm trying to get a good kind of assessment of what people really, really love, because I'm going to do further research and do more writing and more presentations around those things, right? So I need your feedback on this one. There are 8 exercises that I think that you should think about using when you talk about practicing your level of acceptance. And when you think about these exercises, I pose them in the questions. They're basically yes or no questions, but they're also affirmation statements. So think about them any way you want to think about it, but just let me know if it resonates with you. Number 1, I see how accepting something new will become possible when I release my ideas about what should be and embrace what is instead. Yes or no? I can see how accepting something new will become possible even easier when I release my ideas about what should be and embrace what is instead. Number 2, because I receive reality, I know that new and unexpected things can happen for me. Yes or no? Where do you fit on that scale? Number 3, I can identify the steps which have not worked for me in the process of creating change. Basically, you're aware of what's not working, right? So now what are you going to do with it? Once you know what it is, you got to do something about it. Yes or no? Where are you on that one? Number 4, my gut says that there is so much more for me here if I could just get out of my own way. Yes or no? Where are you here? Number 5, I want to have a clearer understanding of the situations and factors contributing to it. I want that. I really want to know what are the factors that are making, helping the situation happen that's happening in front of me, and what's contributing to it, right? Number 5, I did that one already. Number 6, I am willing to look for and enjoy the process of finding the silver lining. Yes or no? Are you looking for the silver lining? Or are you continuing to find nothing but the bottom of an empty glass, right? Is that where you are? Number 7, I see how I have contributed to making the situation what it currently is. Whatever the situation is, I can see, good or bad, how I've contributed to making the situation the way it is. And the last one, number 8, this one's a kicker. I will decide which steps I can take to create the required change. I will decide which steps I can take to create the required change. I find that when you have more yeses than nos to these kinds of statements, and I really think that we could probably think about them even better if you gave yourself a grade 1 to 5. 1, I'm stuck at this, and 5, I'm excellent at it, right? Because we all are at some degree have to deal with all 8 of those different issues when it comes to acceptance, and being able to look at them and assess what we're doing with this lens on helps us to assess, how well we're doing with this and what we might want to be better at. Maybe it's okay that you're 1 in certain areas because it don't matter. Maybe you give yourself a 5 in certain areas, and nobody that loves you or knows you would agree with you on that. So that gives you a good platform, though, to begin to think about how good you are at getting rid of the stuff off your boat you ain't supposed to have in there in the first place, and how good you are at embracing and accepting the good stuff that's on your boat, and then leveraging it for other opportunities. Okay, so that's today's talk. We've been at this now for close to an hour, and I like to stop before I get just shy of an hour, because in the rebroadcasting becomes a difficult thing. But if you guys have any further questions or anything you want to share along the way, as a result of what we have today. Definitely keep putting stuff in the chat, because the chat's going to remain open, whether you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn or on YouTube. Keep throwing information out there. Keep engaging. The show's going to stop, but that doesn't mean anything. The party's going to keep going as long as you keep the party going. I love you guys. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you guys for coming by. I really appreciate you spending the time. Hopefully some of the information was good for you. And you'll be able to move forward with some of the information that we gave you. Next week, we're going to be closing out and really doing a whole deep dive in everything we've already presented. And so come back next week, and we're gonna catch you up on some stuff maybe you didn't get a chance to participate in or miss. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. God bless you. Have a great one. Thank you so very much for playing.